Pardon my sinus infection while I answer your questions here. Where did the first cell come from and how did it develop? The first cell came from a very long process of evolution by natural selection. The first forms of life were nothing so spectacularly complex and highly evolved as a eukaryotic cell, such as the blood cells that you show in your illustration. The first forms of life that biochemists are seeking to understand now would have been simple, relatively simple, self replicating organic polymers. And these are what touched off the process of evolution that has eventually led to all life on Earth. What is the purpose of life? Fundamentally, to make more copies of our DNA. Philosophically, there is no objective purpose to life. The purpose of life is entirely subjective, and we are all free to make up our own purpose in life, to pursue our own reason for living. What happened before the Big Bang? We don't even know if the phrase "before the Big Bang" is logically valid. It may be as oxymoronic as saying north of the North Pole. The universe may be finite yet boundless, like the surface of a sphere. So we don't have enough information to say. We don't even know if there was such a thing as before the Big Bang. And as to what next, we don't know. We don't have enough information to answer that question yet. We have recently learned that the acceleration of the universe, I'm sorry, that the expansion of the universe is accelerating. This suggests that the universe might end in heat death a very, very, very long time from now. But again, we simply haven't the information available to us yet to answer that question. Why are human beings the only creation suffering mental illness? I'm not convinced that we are. I don't believe that this assertion is accurate. I've seen plenty of evidence that other organisms, other mammals suffer from mental illness the same as we do. So I'm not sure what point you were trying to make with that question, but it's moot because humans aren't the only animals that suffer from mental illness. Why is there no atmosphere on the moon? Quite simply, gravity. There just isn't enough gravity to sustain a, an atmosphere around the surface of the moon. The moon has about 1/80th the Earth's mass and about 1/6th the Earth's surface gravity. So any atmosphere produced by lunar geology is simply swept away into space by the solar wind. There is technically an extremely tenuous atmosphere around the surface of the moon, but it is so rarefied that it is virtually a vacuum. So, to answer your question, gravity. There just isn't enough of it. What protects the human beings through the ages from meteorites, which were lethal and could end life on Earth? Absolutely nothing. Meteorites are still potentially very lethal. The only thing that has protected us and allowed us time to evolve and develop our societies is the fact that the massive impacts that tend to cause mass extinctions are very widely spaced in geological time. So there are tens or hundreds of millions of years for evolution to take place between these mass erasing events. The the only thing that can protect us in the future is ourselves. We need to develop the technology to detect and deflect such potential Earth killing objects with Earth crossing orbits. So it's entirely up to us to protect ourselves from these meteorites. Why do the structures fit with functions in all creations? Well, first of all, they don't. There are many structures that don't fit with any functions, vestigial structures. But the reason that so many structures do fit with their functions is explained through evolution by natural selection. Organisms with slight mutations that result in them being able to produce more copies of their DNA will result in more copies of those specific genes being present in the breeding population. Conversely, mutations that result in an organism being able to produce fewer copies of its genes will result in less and less copies of those genes within the breeding population. It's it's that simple. Why does a river follow the contours of a land to the sea? Who will bring justice to those who are wronged? It seems clear to me that gods are not uh, the answer to that question. Humans have been waiting for thousands of years for gods to bring justice. It seems to me that an omnipotent, omniscient, and infallible being would be able to do far better than bring justice. Such a being should be able to prevent such terrible things as the suffering of this child from even occurring in the first place. So ultimately, uh, who will bring justice to those who are wronged? It's going to have to be human beings. We have to evolve as a species socially. We have to mature to a point where we no longer tolerate such suffering of children or any other human being. Because waiting for supernatural agencies to come in and fix everything for us is essentially doing nothing. Why did evolution stop on humans and apes didn't evolve or didn't develop? Uh, Evolution did not stop with apes. First of all, humans are apes. We did not evolve from chimpanzees. We've evolved from a common ancestor. Uh, Humans and chimpanzees evolved from a common ancestor. The chimpanzees have been evolving alongside of us just as long as we have since the split from that common ancestor. And just as an aside, I find it very interesting that you would use an illustration produced by Jack Chick. Uh, if there's anything that Jack Chick hates as much as the theory of evolution by natural selection, it's very likely Islam. The scientific, pseudoscientific information that he has produced on this tract is just wildly inaccurate and filled with lies and inaccuracies. And if you're interested, I could go into them for you, but I'm not going to take the time right now, except to say that it is ridiculously inaccurate. What bombed the universe at that moment in particular? Um, Again, we have no idea. We don't know if the Big Bang is even a moment of creation. It could simply be a description of the universe at a particular location within space time. Uh, so there simply isn't enough information available to answer that question. Okay. Ramesses II. There's no information available to confirm that Ramesses II was the pharaoh mentioned in the book of Exodus. There is no historical or archaeological evidence to indicate that the Exodus ever even took place. The archaeological evidence strongly points to an internal revolution having occurred in Canaan. Essentially, the Hebrews were not external invaders who came in and conquered the Canaanites. They were the Canaanites themselves, or a part of the Canaanite culture. Uh, Secondly, I fail to see how Ramesses II was made a a negative example of anything. He lived to be 90 or 91 at a time when most people were lucky to live into their 30s. He fathered something between 80 and 84 children. He ruled for many decades, uh, very successfully over what was the largest and most powerful empire in the history of the world up to that point. Uh, I see no evidence that suggests that the Quran is confirmed to have had any sort of divine insight into the life of Ramesses II. So I hope that these questions are satisfactory answers for you. Thank you.